Good evening! Welcome to tonight's episode. I've got to keep it down. It was the only time that I could record today, so it's going to be a nighttime episode. Today we're going to do something a bit special. We're going to make a 3D model, and then later we're going to 3D print it. So, what are we going to model today? Let's have a look. We are going to model this guy. What is this guy, you might ask? Good question. So, I'll just bring the end part up and show you what we're starting with. This is a mock-up of my webcam, and an unfortunate thing about my webcam is it doesn't really have a body, but it doesn't really need a body either. But what I'd really like to make is one of those fancy lens hoods that blocks out the peripheral light. So the first thing that we're going to make today is a lens hood that sticks onto the front of that. And then just to improve privacy a little bit more, we're going to make a little thing that will slide on and off that we can put on the webcam to block out any signals just in case. So, how are we going to do this? Let's find out. Let's get started. We'll come along here to File and click New. And we'll choose a standard millimeter part. Today, we're going to be taking a multi-solid body modeling approach. That component that you saw earlier, representing the webcam, that is going to be a part that we import. So to import a part, whether it's like a step file or an Inventor file or even something from CATIA or SolidWorks, you can come along here and click Import and click webcam.step. And here we'll click OK. And now we have imported the step file into the part file. It's not a separate part, it's just a body within the part, and that's the key part. We're taking a multi-solid body modeling approach today. So we'll change the solid body the name there from Solid 1 to Solid 1-webcam. That's going to come in helpful later. Okay, so let's get started by making the sun flare lens hood. That's what it's called. Wonderful. Okay, we'll come along here. We'll make a plane, and we'll say offset from plane, and we'll pick this little shoulder here and bring it up 1 mil. Yeah, looking good. All right, next we'll make a 2D sketch, and we'll make a sketch on that plane that we created. Next, what we want to do is we want to grab these edges that make up the camera component on the webcam, and we want to give it a bit of an offset so that it's got some clearance, and then some thickness to make up the walls. So we'll come along and we'll say offset. The hotkey is O. Oh, it might help if we project the geometry first. We'll click project geometry, and we'll pick each of the edges of the webcam. Yeah, there we go. And next we'll say offset. And now we can grab those edges and we can expand them out. So let's go ahead, we'll give them that clearance of 0.25. And then we'll grab that one and we'll give it another clearance. So, oops, I think I might have grabbed the wrong one. Let's try again. Hit offset, grab that one and expand it out 2 millimeters. So that's going to represent our wall thickness. We'll click finish sketch. And next we will extrude that profile that we created to this surface here. Lovely. And we'll click OK. Oh, before we click OK, what we're going to do is we are going to define this as a new solid body. So that's going to be very key when we come to 3D printing it later. We'll come along and we'll say new solid. And we can give it a name. We'll call it solid 2 and we'll call it lens hood. And click OK. Lovely. Good practice. When we're finished with that plane, we'll right click it and make it invisible. Okay, next what we're going to do is we are going to pretty much copy that shape and extrude it again. We could have actually added just the distance to begin with, but let's just do it anyway. We'll say start 2D sketch, and we'll say project geometry, grab that profile, finish sketch, and extrude it again. Now, you might be tempted to say, okay, we can add in our lens flare here by adding in a taper. But unfortunately, when it comes to extruding out a second part, it might not do what you expect it to do. So the taper can make it sharp or it can make it fat on the end, but it won't make it flare out like we hope it to. So we're going to leave it at 0 degrees. But we will say that it is 8 millimeters long. Oh, not 8,000, that's a long flare. Here we go, 8 millimeters. And click OK. Oops. We've accidentally created a second solid body, well, the third solid body. We're just going to move back into extrusion 2, and we are going to say join. And what join will let us do is add the material to this second solid body, lens hood. Click OK. And now we can see that there's no seam in between them. That's going to be a problem. So we have to go ahead and make a seam by splitting those surfaces. We'll come here to plane and click offset from plane and pick the top of our lens there. Next, what we're going to do is click split, and we're going to pick that plane that we created, and then click all faces, and it will split out all the faces in this solid body that we click. Yeah, and click OK. There we go. And again, good practice. Once you're done with the plane, make it invisible. And now we've got the same solid body, but with split faces along here. Now, why do we want to do that? The reason why is we can add in a flare. So let's go ahead. We'll say draft. And when you're drafting surfaces, counterintuitively, the first thing that you're selecting is a reference face, so something that's representing 0 or standing still. We might as well pick the top of this lens here. And now, depending on where you pick on the surface, above or below, will affect which portion of it is staying stationary when you come to draft it. So we'll pick the bottom portion of each of these outer faces. Looking good, and now we can use the golden arrow to expand them out. So we'll give it a flare of 30 degrees and click apply. We're going to repeat the process for the inner surfaces. So again, we'll pick that surface there as our reference. And for the faces, we'll pick the lower portion of each of these faces. And don't freak out that it's going in the wrong direction at first. That's okay. It will just be positive 30 degrees instead of negative 30 degrees. So the golden arrow is betraying us. So we'll say 30 degrees. There we go. Oops. Come on. 30 degrees. Hey, that was easy. Okay, I'm going to click OK. So, in terms of bare bones design, we are pretty much there. But I think that we can improve it greatly. So let's go ahead. We're going to add in some fillets. So here we go. I'm not sure if it counts as like a great improvement, but the fillets will make us not hurt our fingers later down the track. So we'll add in one set of fillets there. I feel like I've misclicked something. 9 edges instead of 8. What is the edge that there? If you accidentally selected a surface and wish to unselect it, you can hold down shift and click. Great. So we've got 8 edges selected, and that fillet looks pretty extreme. We might say it's 1.5. Looks good. Great. We'll say hit the little plus and we'll add in another fillet here and here. Ooh, that front one might be a bit harsh. We'll say 1.5 there and then plus, and then click this front one here and we'll add in 0.75, just a small one. Ooh, maybe that's a bit large still. 0.5. Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, wonderful. So we have a bunch of fillets. The only thing that remains to do is the cover. So let's go ahead and we are going to make the cover. So we'll start off by making a mid-plane. Well, we're going to make a mid-plane. We'll say plane, and then we'll say mid-plane between 2 planes. And click this surface here and this surface here. Beautiful. Next, we'll come along, we'll say start a 2D sketch, and we're going to look from the side like this. And I can't be bothered to make the actual thing, so we are just going to use project geometries again. We are going to click these edges of the webcam. Come on, let's go. We're making a webcam. I mean, a lens thing. Excellent. Cool. All right, and we'll use our offset trick again. And this time we're going to give it doesn't need to really fit in snugly there. So we're going to give it 0.5 mil of clearance so that it's nice and far away from it. We're going to add in our thickness now. And we are going to say that the thickness of the cover is 1.7 mil. Now, I'll show you a trick. We don't want to go all the way down here to make a closed off point. What we want to do is we want to make it so that the cover only comes down halfway along here. Now, it could be a bit tricky and might screw up some of our constraints if we go the long route, so let's go the short route. We'll say line, find the midpoint of the flare here, and we're just going to draw it at a random angle there. Next, we'll come along and we will say make it perpendicular using a constraint. So we'll click the line there and the edge there. And now we've got a perpendicular line. And to make it fully constrained, we will constrain the end of that line there to the edge there. And we'll repeat the same on the other side. Click line, click the midpoint here, draw a line, make it perpendicular to that edge there, and then coincident constraint between the end of that line there and there. Beautiful. Now, you might notice that I didn't trim these off. You'll find that if you trim them off, it might screw up your constraints with the offset. So I'm just going to leave them in there because Inventor is actually pretty good at picking up closed profiles. So we'll go ahead and we'll click Finish Sketch, and we'll make that plane invisible. And we will go here to Extrude, and finally we'll extrude this one as a new solid, and then in both directions, symmetric. And looking at it front on, we can come along here and we can expand it sideways. Looking good, looking good. 27 mil, that'll do. Excellent. And, oh, should I make a little bit more? Should we make it a bit wider? Yeah. Let's give it some meat. We'll say maybe 28 mil. Looking good. Wonderful. And we'll click OK. And we will get rid of these sharp edges while we're at it. So let's go ahead. Let's not cut ourselves on this 3D printed plastic. And we'll make that 1 mil on the side there. And then maybe 0.5 mil all around, I think. That'll do. Lovely. Okay, and we should rename that solid there. So we'll call it solid 3. And we can call it solid 3. We'll call it cover. Excellent. Good. Okay, cool. So we've got one part. We're going to save it. We'll go ahead and we will say YouTube videos, webcam, and we'll say lens hood, multi-solid body. You can call it whatever you like, but this is a multi-solid body. And my peripheral light's just gone out. Oh, I need a better setup. So we've got a multi-solid body. Now we can't print this all out as it is because it will print all 3 components. So what we need to do is we need to extract each of those bodies and make an individual part out of each of them. There's a few ways of doing those. Some are more efficient than others in different circumstances, but given that we've only got 2 parts here, what we'll do is we'll find solid body 2, lens hood, right click it and say make part. And now here we can choose a template. So we'll say, let's choose a standard millimeter template. And we're going to call this one lens hood part. That'll do. And we will untick place it in the target assembly and click OK. And now we've got a part that's just that solid body. Looking good. Okay, and we'll save that. We'll go back to our multi-solid body. And we will right click solid 3, cover, and we'll say make part. Choose a template, standard millimeter, and we'll give it a name. We'll say cover part. Good, excellent. And untick that. And click OK. And now we've got a part representing the cover. All right. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go off and 3D print that stuff, and I'll see you soon. It occurs to me that it might be useful to actually know how to export step files, STL files for the 3D printing process, so let's go through that now. What we can see here is the part that we were just looking at earlier. So to export it in a way that a 3D printer will understand, it needs to be in an STL format. So we'll come along here, we'll say File, Export, CAD format, and then come along here and choose STL. Wonderful. And we'll say, call it cover part. Great. We'll do the same for the lens hood. So we'll say File, Export, CAD format, lens hood part.stl. Beautiful. Okay, see you soon. Whee! Oh, it's looking good. Let's cook. Let's continue to cook, but in a different orientation. Yay, it's ready, it's done. Ooh, the future is now. Oh yeah. Okay, it's done, it's printed. Here's the first part. Ooh, very good, very good. And the second part, it's cover. Oh, and let's see if they fit together. Ooh, very nice. Okay, we'll switch to the other camera to see if it fits on this camera. I'll see you there. Okay, I'm just gonna bring this guy down. Oh, I wonder if you can even see. Can you? All right, we're gonna try and fit the shade onto here. Like a glove. That's great. And let's see the cover. Brilliant, brilliant, wonderful, excellent. Okay, to celebrate, we're gonna make drawings of this guy. Okay, we're gonna have a look at how to make a drawing from one of these parts. So we'll start up, we'll go back to our lens hood part, and to make a drawing, we'll just have to right click here, and we'll say create drawing view. We'll choose a standard, which you would choose for making a drawing. So ISO.IDW in this case. Click OK. And we'll place down our views. So you can place down just a front view or a side view or make a whole bunch of projected views. We're just going to click front on the view cube here. Make the scale a little bit bigger. Maybe a little bit smaller than that. Drag it into place. And click OK. And that's going to be our base view. Now we can make projected views. So here we've got the bottom and the top and the side. And we'll put down 2 isometric views. Lovely. Now next, there's a lot to this. The drawings are very, very deep well, but we'll just make a simple drawing. We'll come to annotate, and here we can add in some dimensions as we would with a sketch. Putting in dimension between 2 lines here, and also up here. And there's many, we'll have episodes just dedicated to proper drawing practices, but this is going to be rough and ready. Here we've got the angle of the flute. Wonderful, excellent. Probably the worst drawing in all of history, but you get the idea. Lovely. All right, wonderful. All right, that's it for the episode. I gotta cut it short. It's getting very, very late here. I'm sorry it's gonna be so quiet. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.